hip-hop. It came from nowhere else. It could have come from nowhere else but the Bronx. This is the Bronx. You've probably heard about it. You may even have a pretty solid image in your head of what it looks like, what it is like. Or maybe you can't picture it at all. The South Bronx sounds familiar as a bad thing, and the Bronx at one time was said to be burning, wasn't it? For the most part, the Bronx is overlooked, the never-visited borough in New York City, which is a shame because the Bronx is a magical place with its own energy, its own food, vibe, and rhythm. You've been to Brooklyn. Maybe it's time you took a look at the Bronx.
In August of 1973, the sister of DJ Kool Herc was holding a birthday party for herself in the basement of 1520 Sedgwick Avenue. As Kool Herc was playing the music on his 2-disc turntable, he began to slow the music down, slow the record. People stood up and took notice, and they began asking him to do it again. He did it again. They asked him to do it again and again. He did it again. He attracted more and more people to his performances, and people began to imitate him. And that was the beginning of hip-hop music. It started in the Bronx.
Rudy's Records. Inside, rummaging for records just like he used to do, is the man, the legend, one of the very select few who started it all, who created the sound that hundreds of millions of people now claim as their own. Google who created hip-hop. Go ahead. You get DJ Kool Herc.
At the time, it wasn't really receiving the building. We had a watchful eye over the recreation room. So she was watching for any disturbance. It never happened. And that's how it survived, because good music sells itself. Good drugs sell itself.
Yeah.
Good anything sell itself. And this was something good.
Historically, from the last third of the 19th century into about 1920, the second language spoken in the Bronx was German. From about 1930 to about 1960, the second language spoken in the Bronx was Yiddish. From about 1965 onward, the second language spoken in the Bronx is Spanish, and that's the way it is today.
It's got a reputation as a tough place. Crime, street gangs, a lot of which goes back to the way it was, and some of which, well, like I said, it's got a reputation as being tough. The Bronx is, let's face it, a big blank space in a lot of people's minds. Even people like me who live, 10 minutes away? We don't know anything about that big area between Yankee Stadium and the Bronx Zoo, and that it's a patchwork of ethnic enclaves, a cross-section of the whole world. Every immigrant group you could think of. Justin Fornal, a.k.a. Baron Ambrosia, has taken it upon himself to serve as the Bronx's culinary ambassador.
Let the dinner begin. This is the porcupine.
An evangelist for the cause of introducing the manifold, splendiferous delights of this mighty borough to the ignorant, well, like me.
No.
He's got a show on the TV, and he throws parties where he serves creatures that would make Andrew Zimmern turn gray and slump unconscious to the floor. Showman, iconoclast, explorer, and gourmet.
Bronx is so multifaceted, but for some reason, this is the first place I always take people, because this just oozes and emanates kind of that flavor of the Bronx.
And he knows what I like. Places like this. 188 Cuchifritos on 188th Street in the Grand Concourse. Old school, New York, Puerto Rican good stuff. Get within 20 feet of this place and prepare to lose your freaking mind.
The cuchifrito itself is basically fried pig. The ears and the tongue chopped up and deep fried.
So off-cut pig parts, deep fried?
Deep
What's
fried.
not to like about that?
The skin just chopped up.
So skin,
fat.
Skin and fat.
Yeah. It's almost like a little meat candy bar.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Some morcilla.
Morcilla for sure.
Always morcilla.
And then what else? We need some plátano.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, I miss you.
This is exactly the kind of thing I thought we'd lost in New York, that one after the other faded away in the neighborhoods I lived in. And all along, it was there, right underfoot, a gusher of porky goodness.
To me, I take that as a point of pride. To be the Bronx is where the music is loud. The Bronx is where the men are tough, the women are sexy, the food is spicy. If those things weren't true, you wouldn't know what the Bronx was.
So its band reputation is what protects it.
I think the
some of
perception of it being a place where the funk is alive.
Souls and minds for ransom, all for the dream of the cream of drop top fancies with thug anthems written in mansions, influence poorest of minds with inner city crimes and truants. A pledge of allegiance to hood genius means that the dream of Malcolm and King was an inconvenience, a prelude to young black minds.
First to call himself an MC, another pioneer, Melly Mel. In 1982, he and Grandmaster Flash wrote and recorded The Message, an album that was a complete and groundbreaking departure from the kind of lyrics and content up to that point.
Before we started doing hip-hop music, there was no hip-hop music, so we played everything. We played disco, we played reggae, we played rock. I started out as a break dancer, so I used to break dance. You know, my brother used to, do graffiti. I used to go. So all of those individual elements wasn't really happening anywhere else. So it was just something that could only have went on right in that area in the Bronx.
Yeah, okay, you may be thinking, what about the Sugar Hill Gang? What about them? They were an industry band like the Monkees or the Archies, built to cash in quick on what was seen as a fad. And they did cash in.
Where were you when you suddenly realized, holy shit, there's money in this?
Well, that first record I ever heard was King Tim III. The second, and the most popular record was Rappers Alike. I used to live on the 5th floor walk-up. I walked out, somebody was playing it next door. They was playing on the 4th floor. They was playing on the 3rd floor, 2nd floor, 1st floor. Somebody had a boombox outside playing it. The car that drove by had it on.
Right.
You could hear nothing. It was like a plague. It was like locusts. and that's when I realized, it's something that was beyond what we was doing out in the street. Critically, it's not a great record, but if you play it right now, it's still, it's still a good record.
In this case, at least, history has come around. Today, nobody looks back at the Sugar Hill Gang as having been originals or innovators. People know who did what.
As far as hip-hop now, as far as the music now, these guys are not trying to tell a story of their time at all. Okay, yeah, they popped a lot of bottles. Oh, yeah, they had sex with a lot of women, and they drove a lot of expensive cars, and nothing else happened. And at some point, somebody was supposed to step up and make those songs. 20 years from now, they'll still be talking about The Message and Planet Rock and all the classic records.
The Bronx happens to be the home of the 2 largest parks in New York City, Pelham Bay and Van Cortlandt. And you see stuff here you probably ain't seeing in Central Park. The Garifuna come from Honduras, Guatemala, and Belize, and they trace their ethnic group back to a single slave ship that crashed off St. Vincent and whose freed Africans then mixed with Carib Indians.
We have a hudutu, that's coconut soup with fish. Over here, we had a tapo.
Oh, that looks good.
Bone with banana, yuca, yautía, malanga, and coconut soup. Some plantain here.
In Garifuna cuisine, mashed plantains come with just about every dish.
Plantains are just part of it. That's part of hudutu. You would never have this without the plantains.
So it's like fufu.
Yeah,
Same,
absolutely. Same method, same right hand,
same principle.
Same everything.
Ooh, that's tasty. That's really good.
People from all over the world reside in the Bronx. As a matter of fact, we have residents from every continent on the face of the earth. And if you count the penguins in the Bronx Zoo, that includes Antarctica.
The wellspring of hip-hop is right around here, a mostly Jamaican community in Bronx River in the South Bronx. Jamaicans began arriving here back in the 50s, and still today, Jamaican food, Jamaican culture, the music is all over. Sundial International Headquarters, makers of traditional tonics and herbal remedies, a Bronx institution since the 70s. Baba Rashan Abdul Hakim, or Pops Baba as he's called, a grassroots bush doctor, healer. He uses recipes passed down from mothers and aunties, blends of roots, spices, herbs, barks, and woods. Whatever ails, he's got a cure. Wood root cure for the blood, the body, the nerves. Coromantee, an intestinal cleanser, and traditional African man-back. helps you get your manhood back, among other things.
It was about 1956 when I came to America. So I used to make it in the apartment in Bronx River. And then when I'm boiling roots, the whole project smell of this roots. They used to jive them. Hey, what your father doing in there? What kind of focus in there doing, you know what I mean? And I'd buckle it and go on the corner and I'd sell it in the Bronx. Never leave. The Bronx is the best place in America, man. I've run nowhere like the Bronx.
Up north a ways in West Jamaica, another working class community where subway service is pretty limited, and yet people have to get up, go to work, and often make the long hump to another borough. Afterwards, a person could use a drink. And if you're a Jamaican person, you could use the everyday go-to drink of back home. Any time of day or night, Ray and Nephew.
Ray and Nephew is a very strong Jamaican white rum that we use for everything from baby fever to drinks. Here in this bar, you get it with cranberry juice, with milk and water. What water would be in any other borough is what Ray and Nephew is in the Bronx.
Cheers. Jesus is one half of the brilliant podcast team Jesus versus Kid Mero. It's a very fast, free-form riff diatribe on life in the Bronx and what's happening on the news, in hip-hop, or last night.
Growing up in the Bronx, you're isolated from the rest of the city. You know what I'm saying? So the other city had like city bite. The Bronx doesn't get any of that. We're kind of abandoned up here. People get on a boat and go to Staten Island before they ride up to the Bronx.
I got to reluctantly have to being part of that problem.
Yes. People always say, you know, the Bronx is eventually going to be gentrified. That's not happening anytime soon. Is that the, what is this, pork foot?
Pigtail. Yeah.
Right?
Awesome. Oh, hell, I love this. Oh, damn, that looks good.
They talk about DIY culture, about do-it-yourself. And you better be able to do it your damn self in the Bronx, because often nobody else is going to do it for you.
When you go in the Bronx, you're basically going back in time. There are certain crimes that will happen here that are not going to happen in Manhattan and Brooklyn. You know?
Okay, it's an obvious question.
Purse snatching.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So there's still crackheads in New York City?
There's still crack. There's literally crackheads in front of that bodega over there, and they are getting their cracks, and they're not bothering anyone.
Man.
And you know the thing is, they are respectable parts of this community.
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up?
All right. Look, I'm thinking curry goat.
Jesus' Uncle Vernon used to own this place, but that was 3 owners ago. Now it's Lammy's, and Lammy took over from some people who put too much cinnamon in their curried goat, which, as we all know, is a sin against God. Lammy fixed things. Curried goat and stewed oxtail, with rice and peas, collards, and yes, mac and cheese. I can't resist.
Man, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. There's a lot of good food in the Bronx.
There is. If people would, like, you know, get over their bias and come above 96th Street, they would find out. So all that repping my neighborhood, the ethnic pride and all that stuff, people would definitely hold on to that. And that's definitely true of Rylander Avenue, the Italians, the doo-wops, all that stuff. Even this neighborhood was all white until the 50s. So it's very recent, the whole immigrant experience.
Who lived here in the 50s?
All white people.
What kind of white people?
White, like we enjoy milk white, like that kind of thing. We're kissing dogs on the mouth. But let's move forward. Now you have this, and there's definitely this whole, you know, like I'm from 233rd, you're from 225th. Every ethnic group that lives in the Bronx has that, and I think the next group that's gonna take over here is definitely Mexicans. And the thing is, it's an immigrant neighborhood, so it's not a matter of who owns it, it's who owns it at what particular time, and they're next. And I'm looking forward to that, because I enjoy a good quesadilla. So.
Yeah.
The 2s and the 5s here are the greatest trains because they go from Bronx through Manhattan all the way through Brooklyn. So it's the only number of lines that'll get 3 boroughs, you know, visibility.
The Bronx, still here.
Yeah, it's still here. But, you know, like even that, I mean, that brings me back, Tony, that sound.
Do you remember the first time you put spray paint on a wall?
Yeah.
When was that?
Summer of 70.
Back then, seemingly overnight, they were everywhere. Princes of the city. Their pieces stretching across city blocks, whole trains, ever more audacious. Some, like this man, were artists.
In the late 70s, to be on a rooftop like this with a brew or whatever, hanging out. We're waiting for something to come through with a cool letter, like, oh my God, look at that T. And so, you know, kids are screaming like, oh my God, look, oh my God, you know, here it comes, here it comes. And
There's mine.
There's mine, there's mine. But what if you thought the train you painted, you know, was on the left side, then you kind of messed up. And oh no, it's on the right side. And no, you're not screwed. You just wait till this train goes all the way to Brooklyn and comes all the way back.
This was the audience that you had in mind?
Well,
The audience that mattered?
I think all of us spoke to each other back then.
Other artists.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it was just a rush of the event, and then the accolades you may or may not receive, certainly not from the public, but from your peers.
Futura 2000. His style and that of a few of his colleagues spread across the globe. I miss those trains. Others, not so much. I get it. It went on and on until there seemed there wasn't an untagged, unmarked, unscrawled upon bit of wall or window in New York. But for a while, it was a golden time.
Well, the whole point of being here
Yeah.
was, to me, what the Bronx was about, not just the music and the scene and coming up here to parties with the likes of Bam and Herc and, you know, everyone of that era, but it's watching trains. It's what we used to call benching.
So you're watching each other's work go by.
Absolutely. But I mean, today, if I could have a train running,
That would be
it
nice.
would be epic. And I think any artist, Picasso, any artist from any generation, if that concept was available, like, here's some public art, guys, let it run through our countryside.
City Island is a fishing village turned what? A parking lot for pleasure boats and a long-established restaurant row for New Yorkers.
Pick the perfect day to come out here.
Jesus says this place, and Jesus is always right.
How far from your neighborhood? By car?
By car, maybe 15, 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
It seems like a world away. Every time you have an event of note in the Bronx, you have to come celebrate in City Island.
I noticed all the big catering halls.
Yeah. If you get married, you get arraigned. If the baby's not yours, you come here.
Seashore Restaurant, a massive fish factory on the water of a type I'm very familiar with, having started my cooking career in one just like it. Boiled striper and some snow crab and a nice cold beer? Yes. Thank you, Jesus.
It's like a knighting ceremony. Just kind of sit up and you're just like, just take it all in.
Enjoy, guys.
Thank you. You know, I could have done that myself, but to have someone else do
That's
it,
part of it.
it's part of the ambiance. This is the perfect place for a date, but it's the worst food for a date. It's either a huge turn off or a huge turn on. Like, it might give a lady a preview of what they're about to get into.
Right.
You know, a little bib, a little sucking action.
Wow. I've been missing all my life. This is pretty awesome, huh?
If you have a question about the Bronx, chances are Lloyd Ultan has the answer. Born and raised here, he's never really left for over 7 decades. This is a disappearing aspect of New York for sure. The real thing Jewish deli. Liebman's is one of the last. There used to be dozens of places where you could get your brisket, chopped liver, a good pastrami, some pickles, with a black cherry soda or a celery, of course, to drink.
The old image of the Bronx as middle class, upwardly mobile, healthy area had survived up until 1977. This shattered it.
Right.
The Bronx was burning, went the story, and that stuck. Politicians making the South Bronx a poster child for what was hopelessly wrong, would always be wrong, would never, we were told, get any better.
So we now have what you call a slumlord, essentially.
Yes, right.
Who's snapping up large numbers of buildings.
Yeah, first of all, he takes out a huge fire insurance policy. So as he goes to these junkies, and he says, listen, you see that empty apartment on the top floor? I'm gonna turn my back. You take all of the lead pipes that are in there. But I have one request, please. Before you leave, turn on the water, and the water comes down, driving everybody else out. They then hire an arsonist and sets fire to the building. They collect all the money, and they leave.
Are things borough-wide? Are things getting better?
Is the Bronx better? Absolutely. There is more home ownership in the South Bronx than had ever existed in history. That doesn't mean that we have reached utopia. We have not. How long it will take? I'm a historian. I look in the other direction. I would say my crystal ball is cracked.
The Bronx Academy of Letters is something of a cause for me, an institution whose mission I see is absolutely vital if kids, like these kids, from a tough neighborhood, often coming from tough family situations, are going to do the things that they're capable of having the things they want. I believe that there is no way to realize your dreams if you can't articulate them, if you can't, with words, convince others to give you the opportunities, the chances you need to grasp.
So I wanted to talk today. Really, I'm going to tell you in a short period of time everything I know about writing.
Today, I'm dropping by in my role as substitute teacher.
I'm from Manhattan, and I don't know anything about the Bronx. Really, I'm ridiculously, shamefully ignorant. Do you think people know about the Bronx, what it's like to grow up in the Bronx?
Everybody perceives the Bronx as the emergence of hip-hop and all that, the culture. But apart from that, the Bronx is actually lively at all times, at night, in the morning. You hear people screaming from outside your window.
I've grown up with them since I was, what, like 6? Yeah, you know, and it just happened that way. So I feel like the sense of community is like the biggest thing.
I've been teaching here for 8 years, and I think that what people forget is a lot of times, we've talked about this in class, they focus on lots of diseases, health issues, lack of education, but I can be out with them just walking to the train to go to a field trip, and they say hi to at least 30 people. They know everyone.
What is it you're eating? What is chopped cheese?
Yeah. Chopped cheese.
What is chopped cheese? I have to see. Where does this come from, this mutant cheese?
This thing, whatever it is, it'll do just fine. As long as you're reading Orwell's essays while you're eating it, kid.
I think it was somebody who just experimented in their house because it's such a simple thing, but it tastes so different than like a cheeseburger, which is what it kind of is, actually.
But it's weird. If you go way uptown or like downtown, you say, can I get chopped cheese? And they're like, what? Right. Like, but if you get it here, they're like, all right, come right up.
So this is a regional indigenous specialty.
And it's newer, too,
Right.
right? It hasn't been around that long.
I've been everywhere in the world, and I mean just about everywhere in the world that you can think of. As beautiful as many cities around the world are, it's really in your blood, and particularly if you grew up here. You're living in Paris, you're gonna want a chopped cheese sandwich, and you'll be angry that you can't get one.
So there it is. A peek, a narrow slice of an old, deep, and noble subject. Sitting right there, relatively unexplored, a cross-section of the tasty, original good stuff for culture. The great unknown. Go look.